Well, good afternoon from the Dream team. I love saying that, but anyway, it's not my fault. The project is called Dream. So my name's Mark Pattinson. I'm one of the partners in the Dream team, and my colleague Lisa will be animating this session on internationalization to Canada, particularly relevant to SMEs looking to make their first or second steps. We've got a busy agenda for you. If Lisa, you'd like to move the slide on. Housekeeping rules first. I always forget. As you've seen, it's being recorded, so for people who couldn't make it, they can then connect and listen, and obviously the slides will be made available. For good housekeeping and good quality control, please keep your mic off when you're not speaking. Cameras probably also best off unless you're speaking, and we will share also the presentations, the PowerPoints, the PDFs of what's being said today. This afternoon's discussion, as you can see on the right hand side of this slide, is the second in a series of 3 webinars that are looking to help SMEs better understand the market opportunities in 3 countries, Japan, Canada, and USA. This morning we had a very good session on Japan. Challenging market, but with the right partners and support, you can find your way through the different cultural, different business let's say parameters surrounding the Japanese market. So we had a local expert, and today as well we're going to be benefiting from a very knowledgeable expert, and Fahima will present you a bit later, but rest assured that we're the Dream Eurocluster project is about finding the right experts to support you. So if you can just share the agenda now, Lisa. We have a 2-hour slot ahead of us, depending on where you are, what time zone. We'll give you a short introduction into the Dream project so you understand the context. Then Lisa will take you through some key details of the manufacturing/digital sector, which is where the Dream project's focus lies. And then Fahima will use her considerable experience on helping businesses set up in Canada from a European perspective, and her position today sat in Canada, Montreal, I think, and share some success stories. You can obviously ask questions using the chat throughout the session. Don't hesitate, and we can bundle them together and either keep them to the Q&A session or ask them when they are appropriate. We'll then finish with some further insights into internationalization support, some funding mechanisms that can help you launch your first steps in internationalization actions in Canada, and we'll close at least by 4 o'clock, before if you run out of questions. So I'll just give you a quick reminder about Dream. So Dream is a Eurocluster project. It's aligned with one of the 14 industrial ecosystems identified by DG GROW. As the title suggests, Euro and clusters. It's a European project with partners from many countries, and I'll show you that later. And the Commission, and DG GROW in particular, using the Single Market Programme, facilitates the support to clusters, to SMEs through clusters. To help clusters work together. It's not just about interclustering, but it's about delivering impact for the SMEs, and whether that's in supporting their innovation, their networking, their outreach activities, but in particular, and the purpose of today's webinar, going international. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. So next slide, please. You can see here the 14 industrial ecosystems, and the challenge is obviously to deliver the European policy objective linked to the digital transition, the green transition, and greater resilience for the European manufacturing industry. And we're in the digital industries that meets manufacturing indeed, one of the reasons I think this project was supported is that it brings together a sector in need of modernization, in need of investment through the digital mechanism that services and applications that many of the SMEs who've joined us in the DREAM project can offer to manufacturing. And the partnership that is behind this has good European coverage. The project coordinator, SCS, is a deep tech cluster based in the south of France, Sophia Antipolis, which is Europe's largest science park. We have Marielle, the project coordinator, who's waving at you now. And we're based quite close to them. We're on the same science park, GAC. We're an international innovation support group. We've got offices in France, but elsewhere in Europe and abroad, Brazil, for example, and a small representation in Canada. And we've also got partners in this project from Romania, Cluj IT. You can just give us a little wave, Andrea. Yeah, again, a cluster focused on digital. As we come back towards France, we've got MESAP, which is a interesting cluster because they work with the industry sector. So you can see even within our consortia, we have this cross-sectorial, and we have Alicia with us. And just as well, I'm here to give a bit of a gender balance, isn't it really? But anyway, we've finished with the Paul Mécatic from Belgium, and Sophie is here. And all of the partners have specific roles, and each one has played an important part in preparing this webinar for you in terms of promoting it, in terms of adding content. And so you can see from this, like a ID card of the cluster, we are very well positioned to support you in the digital and the manufacturing, and therefore crossing the two sectors. And that's why we are the project was selected. Next slide, please. The different activities that we are delivering in this project are shown here. Highlighted at the bottom of the slide, you can see the message, Go International, and our activities are about supporting the SMEs that are beneficiaries of the DREAM project activities, particularly the funding of some of your innovation projects, and to support you in taking your technologies global, looking at how your value chains can be supported through new partnerships, and then really cascading through the other activities, whether it's networking, innovation, and skills. But today is very much about supporting the internationalization dimension with the three target markets that are Japan, Canada, and the United States of America. Next one. Within the focus on the manufacturing and digital, let's say, composition of this project, there are a number of different paths that can be taken for delivering the impacts that we've jointly committed to for the European funding. In the first block, you can see digital solutions that can be deployed to help reduce the green footprint, the environmental footprint, the carbon footprint of manufacturing. It can be through the energy, the water, raw materials, the byproducts of the activities. So that's more the green dimension. In the middle block, we're looking at more the digital facilitation of the production methods and production challenges you face in some of your sectors. And then overall, we're seeking to support the growth of the digital providers, but also making the manufacturing partners more robust, either in their market share, in their growth and turnover, or in their modernization along the green or digital transition paths. And that's an important message that just, it features in many European projects. So we are aligned with those broader EU agendas. Many of you are here because you are funded as part of the pilot projects that you submitted your bids and were selected by independent experts. It wasn't the dream team, it was independent experts that evaluated your proposals, and there are 35 projects that have been funded. Those of you who are familiar with the cascade funding mechanism is that sometimes you're on your own, sometimes you're in a small consortium, but the idea is that you're co-developing either a technology solution for a manufacturing challenge, or you're trying to enhance the diversification of the market at a particular digital application by entering a new sector, i.e. moving from, let's say, automotive to aerospace, moving from aerospace to general manufacturing. So we've got a nice portfolio of projects, and they've literally just started a month and a half ago. So as they gather speed, we will be promoting the progress through the different dream project communication channels. So watch out, you might be interested to see what progress is being made with them. Next slide. I think it's now time for my colleague Lisa to tell you a bit about the fact sheet that we produced for the Canadian market, and also prepare and introduce our keynote speaker, Fahima. So Lisa, over to you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
So I will give you some brief information about the country of Canada. So Canada is the second largest country in the world in terms of surface area, and counts over 40 million inhabitants, which mostly live in urban areas. The country is also the 9th largest economy in the world, with a GDP of 2.14 trillion USD in 2022. And it has a strong economy and has launched several programs to sustain its growth over the three next decades. In terms of advanced manufacturing is strong in Canada due to several factors. They have a strong and established manufacturing base, government support, and a world-leading education system, as well as a leading position in the fields of systems integration, sensors, automation, AI, and so on. R&D, which is driven by collaboration between industry and research, is also very developed in Canada. And federal and state support policies for the development and growth of SMEs in the country are also very present. Now we are going to go into more detail with our expert Fahima. So Sadawi Ramos, sorry, which has more than 20 years experience in international business and global expansion strategies, notably through her work at the Cercle des Dirigeants d'Entreprises Franco-Québécois, a non-for-profit organization based in France and in Canada, gathering French and Canadian companies, and her work at the North American desk director of the Paris Région Île-de-France Chamber of Commerce, where she supported French SMEs to export, find partners, and set up new businesses in the US and Canada. I will share your presentation, Fahima, and I will leave the floor to you. Fahima?
Computer is frozen, which is
no,
perfect timing. Not. Okay. I guess she will realize and use her phone or some other means of communication. Perhaps technology is wonderful, but we have her in. This morning we had our speaker from Japan and it worked fine. So there's no reason why the speaker from Canada won't work, because Fahima was in Montreal this week. I can tap dance, but you would get pretty bored while we wait for the intermission. But I think trying to reconnect.
Yeah.
Or not.
Sometimes I lost.
Hello,
you can
yes.
hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm sorry. Sometimes I lost your the last 2 minutes, I think.
I was just introducing you and giving you the floor.
That's great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here. I'm now in Montreal. It's 8 a.m. in the morning. That's why I say good morning, everyone. I'm here because I will be at the forum in cyber. It's a cyber security forum taking place in Montreal this week, and it used to take place in Lille in France. Just to present Canada. How can I say? I named the presentation Canada One Country, Many Markets because it's really the introduction and the conclusion. I will go from the global perspective of the economy to come to the advices and how to do business with Canadian businesses when you are located in EU, in European Union. That's the presentation of nowadays. And of course, I will take all your questions if you have at the end. Next, please. I'm not going to repeat what Lisa said. It's very interesting to know that it's the second largest country in the world in area. The first one is Russia. The third one is USA. And then you got China, Brazil, Australia. So we got a really large country. If we compare to Europe, which is only 4.2 million square kilometers against 10 million square kilometers for Canada. So please keep this map on your head when you want to do business with Canada. As you can see, we have 10 provinces. The more known are Ontario and Quebec. And you have 3 territories in the and to name some of them. You got Ontario, which is the biggest one in population and in GDP. And then you got, which is the second one, 8 million population. And then we can go and name Manitoba or Saskatchewan, Alberta, Columbia Britannic. And then you have also West and the Nunavut. They are less really occupied by the population because all the population is border with the US. Wanted also to give you the currency. It's important to know what is the currency when you travel to Canada nowadays. The Canadian official languages, it's English, yes, but it's both English and French.
Sorry, Fahima.
If you for your website. Yes.
Yeah, you're breaking off. Maybe would it be possible to switch off the camera so maybe it will be better? We will all turn off our cameras so we leave you with the sound because you're breaking off. Oh.
I lost you. I don't know what happened. Hello? I will take the camera. Is it okay? Could you hear me, Lisa?
Yeah, now it's better. Thank you.
Okay, I move on then. It's okay. We say about we finish with the language, the French. Some others provinces like New Brunswick, it's English and French. website, you should be in both, or I mean, for Quebec, you should be in both, in French and in English. And for the other provinces, English is sufficient. Next, please. Thank you, Lisa. Political situation. Canada has inherited from Great Britain a parliamentary system with a constitutional monarchy. Please get on your head also why we have on the note a $15 dollar. You can have the photo of the Majesty King Charles III. I mean, you have Elizabeth because the note because the head of state is His Majesty King Charles III, represented by Governor General is the name. Frances Mary Simon. She's the Governor General of Canada since 2021, and she is the first Canadian Indigenous Governor General in Canada. And we have the Prime Minister of Canada, which is the head of government. His leader is of the party with the largest of members of parliament in the parliament. That means he assumes the executive power. The name of the Prime Minister in Canada, Justin Trudeau, and he's in position since 2015, and he belongs to the Liberal Party. That's also things you should know, because we are speaking about a federal country with 10 provinces and 3 territories. Next, please. Just some data about the GDP. As you know, the gross domestic product is the most often used by the government of a single country to measure the economic health. As you can see, Canada health is quite good. Unlike the USA, Canada has not experienced subprime crisis. They really deal very good their bank area. In the GDP projected growth, as you can see for 2023 and 2024, Canada is well positioned, better than France, as you can see, the 17th position. So you can really rely on this country to do business because it's growing constantly. Next. Just come back to the economic sector by provinces. Okay, you got the name of the provinces in the first slide. We can say the first really province, the biggest one, and which is represent more than 36% of the GDP is Ontario. The capital of Ontario is Toronto, but the capital of the country, please, is Ottawa. Is located in Ontario, but the capital of the country of Canada is Ottawa. And in Ontario, you can find media, electronics, broadcast, ICT, automotive, mechanical. They are quite diversified economy in Ontario. In Quebec, the blue one, which represents the second biggest and largest province in Canada. You got the capital of Quebec is not Montreal, it's the economic city is Quebec City. And you have all the aerospace sector, ICT, and you can find it in Quebec. I will come back to it. And you have the others province. If we can say a little bit about British Columbia, which is where you can find Vancouver, on the west. And it's more forest industry, mining, energy, because they have also a big forest in Canada, as you may see during the last summer many burns of the forest in Canada. In Alberta, Alberta is quite known in Canada and all over the world because they have what we call tar sands. That means Alberta's oil sands, which is the fourth largest proven oil reserves in the world after Venezuela and Saudi Arabia and Iran. Alberta produces a lower quality than Brent or WIT, and it's located further from customers. But the oil sands produce oil, and it, of course, has negatively impact in the environment because of degradation of the forest, and also negatively impact in human health that increase risk of cancer. So they have oil in Alberta, they produce oil for all over the country, and also they can export it. Manitoba and Saskatchewan, they are small provinces. It's more, if you are in biotech, it could be interesting to watch what happened in Manitoba, which is the capital is Winnipeg, or in Saskatchewan in Regina. Next, please. Just come back, a word of small businesses, because many companies in Europe I met every day say, oh, but I'm too small to export to Canada. No, you are not too small to export in Canada, because really many of Canadian companies are small and medium-sized businesses. Sometimes from 1 to 10, there are really more than in Europe, small businesses. So you can do small business, you are small businesses, you can do also small businesses in Canada. I put Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, because they are the question from the companies I met, I mean the small businesses I met, are do I need to begin by Toronto, by Montreal, by Vancouver? That depends on the area, on the sector of the company. We used to say that if you are in ICT, you can begin by Quebec in Montreal, and then you cover the province of Quebec, and then you can go to Toronto for the Ontario province to find a partner, and you cross all the country to go to Vancouver to find another partner. Then we say you cover the country because you are in the main cities in Canada. Next, please. Something also you have to know. CETA, what is this? EFTA agreement, what is this? CETA is the Canada or European Union Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement. And we sign a trade agreement with the European Union, and the Canada signed a trade agreement named CETA. In 2022 marked the 5th anniversary of the CETA's provisional application. Yes, we are still in provisional application of this agreement. The agreement will come into full effect when all EU member states have completed the ratification process. Until then, provisional application of CETA will continue and remain accessible to Canadian and EU businesses, because thus the CETA facilitates the export of European agriculture, agri-food, industrial product through the gradual elimination of customs duties. 98% of customs barriers are abolished nowadays. So I'm sure that many of your products, you don't pay any duties to go to Canada. The CETA will ensure better protection of intellectual property, particularly pharmaceutical patents. Will enable European companies to tender for Canadian government contracts at provincial and municipal levels in addition to the federal level. That's really new generation of agreement that Europe Europe is signing with many countries. That means you are a small business, European business, and you want to answer to a tender in a city or provincial, you can do it. It's easy to do it. And also, of course, it's easy to do it for Canadian companies who want to tender in Europe too. What else? It marks also it's easier for European professionals to work in Canada thanks to mutual of professional qualifications. That's also the new generation of agreements that Europe wants to sign with different countries like Canada because of people. So it's not abolish custom barriers data. It's also to get to the tender and also the recognition of professional qualification in order for people. Germany is by the most exporting country, but we have also different ones behind: Italy, Belgium, Netherlands, France, Spain. So we are quite yet present in Canada. So you may have many examples of companies in your area who are present in Canada. So please try to ask some question to those who are in Canada to see what happened when they did it, and what kind of partner they signed, what kind of where they begin to go to Canada. I wanted just to let you know, EFTA is just the European Free Trade Association. You know, it's for country, Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, and Switzerland, who also, they are not belong to the EU, as you know, but they also sign an agreement with the CETA. Next, please. I continue with the CETA because which is sure that it gives a new boost to small and medium-sized businesses. According to the information provided by the European Commission, European companies should save around 590 million pounds sterling a year thanks to the abolition of customs duties. And the European Commission provides, I think you should know it, the access to market platform, find out about export requirements importers, to find detailed information on tariffs, rules of origin, taxes, and additions, and for flow statistics. Some years ago, the name previous, and nowadays is a new platform because you got the same information but improved access to markets. It's really the tool you will need to see what happened with your product when you go to Canada. It's easier nowadays to know exactly the information to export, how to export, what you will need, or how to import. Very, very important and very interesting platform had put in position to all the companies, small and medium-sized companies, but located in Europe, can have access to market. Goods between EU and Canada. It's in 2021. You find medicaments, I mean, drugs, find products, you find motor alcoholic beverage, of course. And it doesn't change really before and after COVID. We still sell the same product to Canada. We still import the same product to Canada from Canada. Sorry. Next one. Just to continue with this country, a competitive, attractive country, which is really favorable business environment with 20, you know, the group of 20 is an intergovernmental forum comprising 19 sovereign countries, the EU and the African Union. It works to address major issues related to global economy, national and sustainable development, and Canada is the best one. Top 3 in the world for over 15 years, extensive network incubators, ecosystem innovative companies, business attraction organizations, and I used to work with Montreal International and Quebec International, and also invest in Ontario because they have great team who are very happy to receive, of course, European companies. Next, just a word about foreign direct investment in Canada. We got the United States as the first, and you have Europe. So environmental business in Canada. Next slide. Thank you. Access to the US market. The small businesses I met always say they want to go to the US, but it's too hard to the US. Could we go through Canada and then getting to the US? The answer is no and yes. That depends on your area. It's always the same. Sometimes in ICT, you can go to Montreal and then for 3 years, more or less, in order to get your business done in Quebec. And then you find a partner in Toronto, and you can go because it's really near New York or Boston, and it may be true for the ICT to go to the Canada through Canada in order to have one North American client and then go to the US. The fact is there are an agreement, as you know, named CUSMA to the US for Canadian businesses to the US and Mexico and the country. So if you are based in Canada, you can also have access to those countries, the US and Mexico. So just because the relation between between Canada and the US are very important because the business is done from north to south for Canada. All the population are on the border of the US. So the first country where the Canadian companies export is the USA. And there are no business really from in Canada from east to west. But yes, there are business from north to south. But to south, that means from Canada to the USA. So if you are based in Canada, you can see what happened and try to approach the US market. Next, please. Thank you, Lisa. So we went through global perspective, and now my experience to small businesses is first of all, it's, as we saw it, it's one country, it's a federal country, but it's many markets because the provinces has really large authorities in different industries. So Canada has to be approached as a juxtaposition of markets due to its political system and vastness also. So it's good to choose partners in each provinces if you want to deal with all the 10 provinces in Canada. And of course, when you are small businesses, you can do that. You have to choose the provinces where you really want to go and maybe only stay in one provinces. 2, it's an undeniable American influence, but a different approach to the Canadian market. We can't really deal the US as the Canadian. The approach from the Canadian, as we see, the Great Britain is very present in Canada because historical systems is really with Commonwealth very present in Canada. So we have a good relation, as we can say, with UK and Canada. So we can't really say we are going, for example, to do a website for the US in English, and we are going to give this website for Canada, because you might need to adapt languages, always to be the nearest for the market, nearest of the Canadian market. Success in North America requires time and careful preparation, regulation, product adaptation, etc. I mean, this third point is always and careful preparation. It's free. It's information to, if you don't adapt your product, it's don't go. That's all. If you're not ready to go and to be prepared, it's better not to go, because you're going. The fourth one, give at least as much importance to marketing as the product itself. Yes, that's true. I met many small European businesses, great ones, spectacular ones, magnificent, and know how to sell it. We are in North America. They are the king of marketing. So please spend a little time and money in marketing too, because in the US, as in Canada, and in Canada it's quite the same there, the marketing is very important. So the product is not so good, but the marketing is good. It will sell.
Fahima, the sound seems to be failing again.
We lost you.
We lost Fahima. Hello. Can I?
I lost
Yeah, the Fahima, the sound that you're cutting out.
But I can. Okay. What about?
Can you connect with another?
What about now?
No, we cannot hear you.
Can you connect with another appliance?
Okay.
Maybe if you use your the phone you said before, and then we can just turn the slides for you.
Can you hear me?
It's intermittent, so we hear at the beginning. And, yeah.
Like this, is this better?
Well, let's try. Let's try.
Okay. I take out. Is it better like this?
Go ahead then.
I go ahead. Okay. We were the fifth one. The use of specialist advisors and widespread I recommended. You can I met one of the company who had signed a contract with a Canadian company, and the European company wanted to use the contract they used with in English in Europe, because they didn't want really, they think using a lawyer, it's a cost. I say always that using a lawyer, it's an investment to protect you. So if you are a small company, you cannot have money to use a lawyer. Better not to go to Canada, because really you will use a lawyer. The lawyers will help you, and the accountants, of course, to better protect your company, your product, and yourself and your business in the country. So it's really, really an investment for you to use many specialists. Again, it seems that in Europe, we prefer to do everything by ourselves. No, if you don't know, if you're not the specialist of something in worse when you are in a foreign country, you have to invest in specialists. And you have many specialists everywhere who will help you to win time and money at the end. The sixth one is importance of networking and cultivating a network of contact directly or via your partners. In Montreal exists what they say 5 to 7. Every day from 5 to 7, you have networking. The networking is used to find partner, to find new job, to find new friend. It's it's like job. That means you finish at 5 or at 6 and you go to the networking. And it seems that in Europe it's harder to have some networking, or it's less cultural to cultivate your network. But your network is really your best friend to find connections for Canada. Next slide, please. That's more Quebec people are North Americans who speak French, but not French people living in North America. That's more for French, who used to think that they came to Quebec and it's the same France and Quebec. It's not true. There are many differences. English is essential for the other provinces. Of course, you have really to think English before to come to Canada. And if you want to stay only in Quebec, to think in both, or in New Brunswick to think in both. So your documentation should be really in English. I mean, the Canadian English, and also the French English, the Quebec English, the Quebec French, sorry. The ninth one is Canadian are pragmatic, concise, business negotiation, are quick, less emotional than the French, and favor written over oral communications. So if you have a super product, they will not check where you come from. They will tell you to sign right now, because your product is going to they are going to win time and money, so they will buy it. They don't need to know you for 15 years. They will buy it because it's an innovative project. We are not in Latin countries, so write what you say, and they are going to write you, and they are going to invite their lawyers to write you too. So the writing on the lawyers are not there to control you. They are there to be sure to work together for a long time. So please always write what you say, and they will write you what they want from you. 10th advice is a warm welcome, importance of personal relationship and trust. They will they are always very, very welcoming people, because they used to have many people from all over the world in Canada. There are different countries, different communities, so they used to receive people from Europe. So they know how to receive you very well, and but they also want to know what you can give them, and then also from them what they can give you. So more you spend time with them, more you invite them in Europe, more you come to see them, better it is for your relation. Rigor and commercial monitoring are essentials. They are the Canadian is like German people. So you say that you're going to deliver something at that time, so you have to be really on time. And if you can't be on time, please tell them, and don't stay at the last minute to say that you're going to be not in time. But the punctuality is essential, and compliance with delivery time is really, 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 really essential. You should, if you say the time and the date, you have really to stay with your time and your date, because if not, you have to explain before, not after, because that's really something you should know. Next slide, please. Just wanted to show you there are, of course, many companies who succeed in Canada. One of them is the French video game publisher. We may name the games like Just Dance or Assassin's Creed from Ubisoft. And Ubisoft is a European company. But if you ask to someone in Canada, they may tell you that it's a Canadian company, because they are here for more than 20 years, and they have their digital equipment and a team here in Quebec, and also in Toronto, and also in Vancouver. So they are located as a Canadian companies, because they set up businesses, they create video and big groups in Canada, and of course they receive quite many subsidies from the government, first of all from the Quebec government, and after that from the others, to attract Ubisoft in Canada. We can of course see the companies who succeed, I mean the European companies who succeed in Canada, but please do not forget all the Canadian companies located in Europe who can be first. You can work with them first of all before to go to Canada. I will give you two examples. Boralex, for example, is a Quebec-based company that produces renewable wind, solar, hydroelectronic, and thermal energy in Canada, in France, and in the US. So you can meet some partners, maybe beginning with partners in Europe with Canadian company, and then if you are a very good company in Europe, they might piggyback you, as we say, to Canada. So Boralex is a good example, and also CGI. It's an IT and business consulting services They are very present in Europe, more than 15,000 people in Europe. You work with them, they are based all over Europe. If you work with them in Europe, maybe they can attract you with the headquarters in Canada. Next slide, please. That one is also examples of companies, European companies who succeed in Canada, and also Canadian companies you can contact because they are located in Europe. Next slide, please. Wanted just to, for example, we have Vidence Analytics. It's a small companies in the developing and deploying artificial intelligence solutions, and it's a really small business located in Canada. I mean in Quebec, I think, and they are developing their market in Europe, and they are looking always for small other businesses to work with to Canada, okay, to export. But try to identify the biggest or the small companies, Canadian companies located in Europe, and try to see what you can do with them first in Europe, and then try to see what you can do with them in Canada, and as I do something with them in US. Next, please, about the fact that you didn't listen to me. I finish with a project, which is the coordinator is JC. I wanted to mention this program because it's a European program. It's the target are innovators, researchers. When we say innovators, you can be a small businesses working. It means in 5G, in quantums, in cybersecurity, in artificial intelligence. If you work on those areas, you have the opportunity to apply to NGI in research, and then to win 3 months to 6 months spending time in Canada or in US, but we stay with Canada. You spend time 3 months to 6 months in Canada, in a laboratory or in a university or in a big company or in a small company, because you want to work and to see what happened in your area in Canada. That's also a way to export yourself, to go and to try what happened in your niche in Canada. You next. Not to start.
We've seen that one.
I finished. So I hope it's okay, and I hope that not so much by the I haven't. I think I saw.
Yeah. Lisa, you can switch the slides now. So thank you, Fahima. The sound got better, so we appreciate the change. I mean, it's the joys of international. Maybe either the Russians are playing with the connections under the sea again. Anyway, I've got a couple of questions, but first I would just ask, do any of our SMEs who are online with us have any direct questions, either raise your hand or put them in the chat that you would like to share with us.
There is one from Oksana.
Yeah, okay.
How
Oksana, do you want to open your microphone and ask the question?
Yes, hello. My name is Oksana Dabrok. I'm coming from IE Textiles from Spain, from near Barcelona. And we are planning to visit Montreal at 4th of November. We have quite a few meetings already organized, but it's really difficult to organize a B2B meeting. I don't know if this is a special thing or we try like several months, and you talked about networking and it seems to be very easy to do. Do you have some tips about it? Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Oksana. Fahima, can you offer any insights? Maybe she'll connect. Just Oksana, one follow-up. Is it your B2B event, are you attending a trade show or a conference, or is it an independent
We
mission?
have a mission for several clusters, and of course this session or webinar is very useful for us, and we are very grateful. And for any insights or help, we are also very thankful.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't listen. The last 2 minutes it's cut, but okay. So you're going to November. In November, you're going to Montreal, and you want some business meetings. That's it.
We have some. We have this Canada International, as you mentioned previously.
A few months ago.
Okay, I will switch my microphone.
Have you contacted Montreal International?
Yes.
Did you contact Montreal International? Because they are very proactive to receive many companies and to open some doors first.
Yeah. I think we got a meeting with them, but we can't organize for our SMEs some B2B meetings. It's quite difficult. So if you
it's difficult because it's always like this. If you are here, they will receive you. It's very easy to organize meeting with them. They are open. You can have a meeting with CEO. It's not a problem. They are always curious to receive you, but you have only one chance to be good, because if you met them, you have to be ready, and to be ready means to be ready to invest in Canada, because they're going to invite you to stay. And you're going to say, but we need first a partner, and we need no. You have to be ready if you want to do business with them. If you want to sell something really, your documentation is ready, your product is ready. They are not going to spend time with people who are not ready, because German people, when they came here, they are very ready to sell.
I suppose.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, reading between the lines, Oksana, I think it's the nature of the business proposition that you and your SMEs can offer, and between the fact finding and this is our business proposition. I think I can understand your challenge, because it's not always easy. The notion of intermediaries, I think, is what Fahima was also recommending, but they can perhaps also provide a panel of companies. And my advice is, when we tended to be involved in matchmaking missions, is the ones we used to organize for the European cluster collaboration platforms. We always did them around a business or a trade show, because in theory the businesses are there are also looking for internationalization connections. So that's part of the process. But that's something to consider. But thanks for your question, Oksana. Are there any other direct? Go ahead, Fahima.
Sorry, Oksana, if you want to ask to Lisa my email, I'm here in Montreal all this week. If I can connect you with someone, I just need to know who you want to meet.
Okay, thank you very much. That's really nice from your side. Of course, I would like to contact you.
Great.
Good.
You can
Thanks
contact
for
me
the
on,
offer,
on
Fahima.
LinkedIn too.
Yeah, thank you.
Lisa will do the matchmaking. Sophie from
Thank you, Lisa.
our friends in Belgium.
Right.
Yes. Hello. Just a few words to highlight the speech of Fahima. Thank you for your tips. But from my personal experience, I have to highlight the networking. 5 à 7 or 5 to 7 are very important moments in business life. And it's not always the case in Europe. And most of the time we skip those kind of business networking. And I speak for Belgian companies, and most of the times it's sometimes that we escape at the end of the day because we can be tired because of the jet lag. But it's a very important moment when it is organized by the event organizer or by the person who invites you. It's important to be there because this is the way to connect to other people. You will be presented to many other people, and it's a very friendly but also very useful for contacts. And also I would like to share my experience with LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a very essential social network in Quebec. I don't know for the rest of Canada, but it's the very practical way to stay connected with your local contacts, and they like to tag you and to stay in contact with you by that way. So it's important to have a good LinkedIn profile and to make and entertain connections thanks to this social network, particularly with Quebec.
Thank you, Sophie. Yes, it's true with the other provinces too. In Ontario, in British Columbia, you really they will check first your LinkedIn, and it will be weird if you're not in LinkedIn.
So it's useful to know which type of social networks are more relevant and perhaps powerful vectors for your own supporting your websites, your company websites, etc. Okay, I wanted to ask a question to Marielle, and not to put you on the spot, Marielle, but Fahima mentioned the Quebec is a French-speaking, non-French location, destination. Has the SCS cluster organized any missions to Quebec? Because I know many French regions, they focus strongly on the French-speaking. Half of Brittany go there for their networking and events. And I was wondering whether you in the Pôle SOS have targeted Canada via Quebec.
I would say no, as far as I know, and as long as I am at Pôle SCS, so since 2020, I've not seen such a mission organized for the past 3 years. I know there are some missions which are organized by the local development agency Rising Sud, but not directly via ourselves as a cluster. It mainly goes via the regional agencies in our regions.
Yeah. Thanks. The reason I mention it is that when we took a European delegation to Canada with ECCP, we in fact we went to Toronto and we matched with the superclusters, which were the new policy, and I think it's interesting that cluster to cluster collaboration can actually then facilitate that. So a question to you, Fahima. These superclusters were mentioned and given quite a high profile, probably about 2-3 years ago. Are they still a key vehicle in the Canadian innovation support policy?
Yes, they are. Yeah, they are. I don't know if you heard about Mila. about artificial intelligence?
No.
It's more than that cluster. Is really it's attracting all the biggest and the famous expert in artificial intelligence to Montreal. And Mila has signed different contracts with big companies who want, like Thales, for example, but there are big ones from Germany and others country who and US who come to Canada to Montreal to work on artificial intelligence. So there are some, hydrogen, artificial intelligence. There are Quebec investment from the province, from the government of Quebec. So aerospace clusters also. Aero Montréal, for example, is one of the biggest GRAP, as we say in Canada. And we have also different clusters in different provinces. They have all of them. We just need to focus on one of them to succeed in one and try to see the others.
Thanks for that, because I've just put the link into the chat on the link to the national clusters, and I think you've highlighted also the existence of regional clusters. And given the size of the country, I registered your first comment, one country, many markets. And I think if the companies that are online with us today, and you think, okay, well, British Columbia is an interesting market for whatever reason, then look for the regional clusters, because as we know in Europe, our clusters are trying to help the SMEs develop business internationally, regionally, and the same applies to, if not even more the case in North America, where the clusters have a different economic model, and it's very much driven by the need of their businesses. So that, I think, using the cluster networks, if you go back to Oksana's, I don't know off the top of my head if there's a cluster for the textile or new materials, but that would certainly be if I was going on a fact-finding mission, part of my contact list. Okay, I've got one direct question for you, Fahima. Is in many missions are often organized and structured around big trade shows. We know in Europe we organize matchmaking missions around the Hanover Messe, around medical technologies in Dusseldorf, I think, etc. Are there sort of the top 3 trade shows that could be a way of positioning either with a stand or with partners that you could recommend for, let's stick to the Quebec, Toronto regions? Are there ones that stand out as a first stop for anyone looking at the Canadian market?
Of course, in cybersecurity, the forum in cyber is one of the best, for sure. It's the second time in Montreal this year. And it's gathering all the Canadian, US, and European actors. So that's one of the way. In environmental, you have Americana, I think is the name of the show. With gathering also all. It's like Polytech, in France.
In Lyon.
And it's gathering all the new energies and new environmental techniques. Americana is taking place in Europe, in Quebec, but always in this you have in each province each show. It's quite difficult to say I will go to Toronto and we will meet all Canada. It's not true. You will see, for example, in aerospace, you have a show in Toronto, and you have another one in Quebec, and you have the equivalent in Bourget, the International Paris Air Show. So they always duplicate because some provinces invest in some sectors, so they have to create their own show. That's why it's not so easy to say you have to go to this job. You will find you go to Toronto, you will find more businesses from Ontario. That's all. You go to Quebec, you will find more businesses from Quebec. It's really, really regional shows. And you
I
can
know
make the
it's-
same in Manitoba. And to come back to your point, very important point you said before, the Canadian businesses, they have no choice than exporting. They are too small country. It's too small country. So they create global. They have, if they want to develop themselves, they're not going to stay in their country. They have to export. So they think exporting from the beginning. That's why they have many advices from clusters, from federal agencies, from provincial agencies. Because we in France, we can stay maybe just in France, or maybe just in Belgium, or in Spain, but the Canadian, the Canadian market is too far from everything. So they create businesses to go globally. No choice to develop themselves.
So yeah, we can maybe pick up Canadian contacts in the European trade shows and fairs that can be your partners.
There were, for example, 150 companies were last week. In Polytech in in Lyon. From Canada. There were many of them here because they come. The global show like Paris Air Show in aerospace is of course the place to be, definitely. And you have also Eurosatory, who have a big Canadian booth. We have a Eurosatory. Then you have also in Cial, one of the biggest also in food. You have also a Canadian booth. So yes, I think it's interesting for SMEs in Europe to visit the big shows in Europe and to see who are the Canadian companies who want to do business in Europe and try to exchange with them. It's easier for a small business in Europe to contact them. You don't need to travel. You just need to visit the show and beginning the contact, beginning networking.
Yeah, well, I think that's good advice, because when you're starting maybe for the first time, either internationalization or Canadian market, work with somebody who's already thinking about Europe. You're on at least the same wavelength. And indeed, some of the big trade shows, I mentioned the Hanover Messe, they have country targets. A couple of years ago we attended, it was Hanover, USA, and they even had Barack Obama attend. So you can see how see what Justin Trudeau's doing when he's not meeting the King Charles. Maybe he'd be in some trade show.
Definitely, yes. There are also for example, the CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, I do for the last 10 years in Las Vegas at the beginning of the year. You have 150 countries. We always try to connect Europeans with North Americans. That means with the Canadians and with the US, and sometimes we are many countries from Europe who are there. And we have different pavilions, the Belgian pavilion, the Spain pavilion, etc., the German pavilion. And we try first, many of the French, I know companies who came with us to the CES, they begin to do business with other French and with other European, of course. And then they took some contacts with Japan, with China. That's also another way to discover and to have some contact, to invest in some shows. Visiting, I'm speaking about visiting, not really because it's quite expensive for many of small businesses to have food.
But that's where some clusters, I know, Pôle de Compétitivité or regions take stands, and you can be part of that regional stand. So
definitely, yeah, you have a better communication, and you are not alone. And at the end, you do business with the others. You don't know. Maybe they are located near your business in Europe.
Okay. Going back to before we move some slides on, but I just want to give another chance to the different SMEs that are online. Are there any other experiences of Canadian trips or Canadian exchanges that anybody would like to share or ask Fahima, about? You saw the type of issue that Oksana mentioned. Anything else from the participants you want to address? Raise your hand if you want, or write the question.
If
Don't
you want
be shy.
to do, if one of the company want to go deeply in one area, please do not hesitate to contact me if you want to, because I went quite quickly, but I wanted to give you all the the big points and the small points.
No, we know we're limited in time, but it's a introduction, and part of Dream is about helping you pursue your internationalization journey. So either through the contacts that Fahima's just offered you, and also the Dream Consortium. But, okay, if there are no direct questions, then Lisa, we can just move on. Thanks for the feedback there, Fahima.
You're welcome. Thank you for your invitation.
Yeah, so just to sort of give you a bit more of an update on what other internationalization support and opportunities that exist, we can click on. So today is Canada, this morning was Japan, and tomorrow is the US. So I think Fahima made it quite clear the strong links between the two markets and the opportunities for accessing both through each territory. Fahima is also part of the Enrich global family and different initiatives that can provide European companies, European clusters, European innovators with access to international markets. So Lisa will put the link in the chat on what Enrich is about, particularly strong in the US. And I think Fahima showed you the NGI Enrichers, which it's a digital focus program. It's very generous support in terms of travel and subsistence, which is unusual. Some of you may be familiar with sort of European young entrepreneurs where you don't get a lot of support. This NGI fellowship program is proving very popular, and you saw the links in Fahima's presentation. We can also put it into the chat. So there are different ways to approach internationalization. So different networks, some are well-established ones. When we think of Horizon Europe, Canadian researchers can access Canadian funding, and you can sometimes find within Horizon Europe programs that actually say, Europe wants to work with Canada. We've been very active in a lot, when I say we at GAC, with internationalization, Horizon Europe programs. The Eureka Network is a dedicated program for the SMEs that you represent, and you work with internationalization challenges, whether it's a German, French, a Belgium, Italian partnership, but you can now also have networks with Canada. The trade missions that we find in many countries, and Marielle earlier put into the chat some of the EU support programs that exist. We've obviously got the European Enterprise Network, and all of these networks are going to be found in the fact sheet, the Canada fact sheet that we are going to share after this event with the slides and the presentation. One completely new hot press project, before I asked my colleague Sophie to present this gemstone. Last week we were selected as part of a consortium to help the EIT community, so the sort of the most innovative European technology companies that have got support from the EIT funding instrument will now be getting support for soft landing in North America. And we're part of a consortium led by Price Waterhouse. And Fahima, you mentioned CIS. the first mission that we will be organizing for the EIT community will be to take a European delegation to the CIS. So there are many different opportunities, sometimes too many. Let's be honest, you know, as an SME, you need your cluster family to help you find them. And that's why Dream is here for a small part, but, you know, some of us in the consortium are regular advisors for internationalization strategies. You know, we ourselves internationalize, the clusters internationalize, they seek missions, and we try and signpost the most interesting opportunities, also thanks to our experts. So the Europe, let's say, agenda is constantly being enriched. The opportunity I just mentioned is, you know, only been validated last week, and it probably will start in November. So it is hot news. It's targeting EIT supported companies, but it just shows the diversified opportunities for you. And with that in mind, and the link between my question to Fahima saying, well, what international trade shows would you recommend? Sophie is part of this project Gemstone and would tell us how you can fund or co-fund your international mission. So Sophie, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Mark. So if you intend to visit Canada, any part of the Canadian market, you can be funded to visit your contacts, to visit a trade fair or congress in your sector of activity, thanks to another Eurocluster program called Gemstone. So you can apply up to December 2024 to get this funding of 1,500 euros. It's a lump sum. And you can finance and support financially your trip to the Canadian market to visit your contacts. You can choose the event you want to participate to. It could be a personal mission to visit several contacts in Canada, or you can participate to a trade fair or a mission organized by the Chamber of Commerce or any other organism of your region. Of course, your trip cannot be double financed. So if you receive funding from your region, you cannot apply for Gemstone. But this is quite interesting when you want to visit for maybe not only commercial purposes, but also for watch for any other relationships like technical business relationships, or finding other kind of profiles like lawyers or consultants to improve your business in this country. There is some useful information and the link here that you will receive in the presentation. So I have I can give you an advice. It's to read the Train and Explore course guide for applicants in details. There is the link to the submission platform. I will add it afterwards in the conversation of the teams. And there are also some suggestions of events in the portfolio. You can have a look at it. These are only suggestions, because you can, of course, choose the event of your choice and propose any event you would like to participate to. On the following slide, you can see that this call is a part of 4 types of grants promoted by Gemstone to support the green manufacturing, so the green transition of the industries, and as well as technology or solution providers, as industrial manufacturers are eligible if they are an SME. So you can apply for all those types of grants, and the program is supported by 7 cluster partners in Europe, and we have a focus on several markets like Canada, US, and Asian. so the same countries as those pointed by Dream Eurocluster. So we have some similarities in our programs, and it's quite good for you because we can converge to support your initiative to prospect and to discover new market opportunities. And just one tip, if you want to apply, maybe on the following slide, you can see that you have to make a link with the green manufacturing. This is an important topic of the European Commission, and it's the objective of Gemstone Eurocluster. But you'll see that in the main path we defined in the strategic roadmap of Gemstone are quite large. So you can make quite easily a link with the green manufacturing topic and the events you want to point out. So think about it when you apply, because you have to make some links with the strategic roadmap. It's the way to write your application and to be elected. Yes. So I think, as my colleagues told it a little bit earlier, you have plenty of opportunities to support it and to finance your way to develop your relationships with the Canadian market. So I think you have to go and to try to test. And first, of course, in Europe, because lots of Canadian people come to our fairs and want to develop relationships with the European market. So it's a good opportunity for us as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sophie. I think it's an interesting complementary funding scheme to some of the projects that may have already launched. We added 2 slides, and what Fahima mentioned is this NGI enriches the Transatlantic Fellowship Program. As you see, it has a strong digital focus, and just to confirm the figures of support for the fellows, and say US or Canada, monthly lump sums, travel, including insurance, your visas, etc., and the duration, 3 months or 6 months, you can see is quite a considerable amount of money. So this is a project that is managed by GAC. We're the coordinators. So we've already had 1 call, very successful and not too competitive. If you've got a good opportunity to share, and you can see we a lot of researchers do it, postdocs want to do it, but also innovators, so people from your companies can be a way of going into the market. And clearly, when you submit your application, you have to have a host organization. So as Sophie and Fahima both just said, if you have a partner that you meet and you will say, look, well, let's go and do some development and collaboration work, this is a way of funding your mission. I think there's one more slide on NGI, just with the Lisa. Yeah, so this is the call. We've just closed the 2nd call, and there'll be a 3rd call next year. So it gives you a chance to prepare, and there are 3 different opportunities in which you can identify Canadian or US partners. So that's NGI. Our last slide is looking also to make sure either through your clusters, Dream Partnership, we are active on the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. They regularly organize matchmaking missions, and SMEs and clusters are co-funded. The last missions were underway, South Africa and Singapore. They've been to Canada, they've been to the US, and they can go again. So put this in your favorite, you might find some interesting opportunities. And all the previous matchmaking missions and market reports and fact sheets are available on the market. So if you want to gather some market intelligence networks in addition to what we've presented today, you can get more by browsing the country sections on this matchmaking part of the ECCP. Next slide, and I believe it's the last one. You can keep up to date with everything that goes on in Dream through either our LinkedIn or our X/Twitter accounts. The key partners, because they are all on screen smiling at you now, so we can see them. And in each of the key markets, we have the local knowledge, but equally we are connected to the network of the 30 Eurocluster projects. So we're very much able to support companies from different countries, and obviously the support we can provide you will be stronger in some markets such as Canada, US and Japan, because we have the network, the resources, the partners, the knowledge, but we can maybe help in some of the other markets that you might be interested to develop. So don't hesitate to reach out to us as follow-up. What we promise to deliver after this webinar is the fact sheet on Canada, but you can also access the fact sheets on Japan and North America if you can't make the sessions. The recordings will be made available on the Dream website, and equally the slides that Fahima presented and on the rest of the slideshow. So thank you again for participating, but I can always give you the floor for one last question or comment from either my Dream colleagues or from any of the participants. So would anyone like to share any final comments on the Canadian market? If not, I can't see any hands raised. For those who want to see what happens south of the border, i.e. US, tomorrow at 2 o'clock, you can still register. We'll have another expert to share with us his experience in setting up business. He comes from a cluster environment and an SME, and who used to work from a European company, now is based full-time in the US. So a bit like Fahima's got that knowledge, and 1 week in Canada, 1 week in Europe, and vice versa. So interesting for you. So thanks again, Fahima, for joining us, and we're sorry we stressed you out with the communications, but at the end it worked fine. So appreciate your time, and thanks for all of you for attending, and stay in touch, especially those who are funded through the Dream project and your innovation project. So and Alicia has just given you the connection for your US ticket. Unfortunately, it's online and it doesn't go direct to Florida, which would have been nice. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you very much.
Enjoy
Thank you,
the rest of
Fahima.
your
Thank you,
day.
Lisa and Mark.
You
Bye-bye.
too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.